your trainer extraordinaire. So we're covering DotLoop again. I'm making sure this time, because I always seem to run it over with the DotLoop class, I want to be more focused on getting through as much as we can and making sure that you have everything set up and we know how everything works in here. So DotLoop, if you aren't aware, DotLoop is a digital filing system. It's where we keep all of our contracts. It's where you go to get a blank copy of a contract. It's where we're going to go to keep all of our files for any of our deals, whether it's our listing, whether we're working with buyers. Everyone's going to have a loop, which is really a folder. So to get to DotLoop, we would log in through our MyKW website. So that's mykw.kw.com. There's 2 KWs in there. So mykw.kw.com. This is what your login screen should look like, and you're going to have here in the center at the top this e-edge control panel. This is how we get into DotLoop under the My Transactions in the upper right hand corner. Now, if you're new, if this says sign up with e-edge at the beginning here, you just have to get with Scott and make sure that that's all set up. If it says my leads, my contacts, and all that stuff, then it's already set up for you. So in the right hand corner, yours could say start a new transaction here, but typically you would have a plus sign to go to the transaction at home. Now someone was asking earlier about the videos, so just to show you in case you aren't aware, we have under education now a new KWU Connect right here. And what that does is it's all kinds of videos, not just DotLoop, all the stuff. If you haven't been in there in a while, it's Keller Williams' newest training tool that allows you 24/7 to watch videos, see people practice scripts. Right now, new agents are uploading their own content to it. So KWU Connect is just right there under education. Now I'll click on it just so you can see. You will have to log in with your Keller Williams login, but this is kind of where it is. And as you can see, hundreds and hundreds of videos. Eventually, my videos of this class will go on there as well. So KWU Connect is definitely a great tool to check out. There we go. All right. Okay, and you can add that to your phone, computer, whatnot to save it. Just know to log into KWU Connect, you have to have your Keller Williams login. All right, so I'm going to go to My Transaction Home for DotLoop. So DotLoop is a digital filing system. It's where we keep everything. Now, your first time in here is probably going to look more like this and have a bunch of circles and stuff. That's kind of the standard view, and it's one of the pointless views. It doesn't tell me anything about this deal except for an address. So what I always recommend is here in the upper right-hand corner, you see where it says 3 lines. If you click that, it switches to list view. Notice now the icon switched to basically 4 squares, and then that switches you back and forth. So it's your ability to switch between the views, but when you're in the list view, you get more information about the transaction. That's the easiest way to find things, to filter them, to clean things up. So the first thing I want to cover up at the top here is just what are these icons. So this little icon here is really for your dashboard. This doesn't do much. It was intended to give you an idea of what deals you've written and your business when things will close. However, I've had deals that have failed, and as you can see, I've got a bunch of numbers in here. It's not an accurate way to really know your business. That was the intention of that tool. So I usually just ignore the dashboard. I just want to tell you what that is. This is your main one, Loops, which we were on. It kind of looks like a smiley face. This is the main icon you're going to use pretty much for everything in the system, is Loops. Now tasks, right here, they have the ability to set up a task inside DotLoop. The only challenge with that is if you set a task in DotLoop, you have to go into DotLoop to see the task. It doesn't email you, it doesn't notify you, so I would recommend, if you do one in here, to set yourself up with an alarm on your phone or something to alert you to say, hey, today's the day of your end of your inspection period. Today's the day that this is ending, so that you are aware of it, so that we don't accidentally miss one of our due dates. This tends to work better when it comes to the assistants. They tend to use this a lot. Did you have a question?
No, I haven't.
No problem. Okay.
And my hand hurts.
People is where we can go for our contacts. Now, the nice thing about this is, you know, with Keller Williams, we have our e-edge database. This talks to that. So every contact you add to the e-edge database to be able to email them in campaigns will automatically show up in your DotLoop system. So you don't have to come in here and manually add contacts in here. So pretty much I ignore the people icon. This part here isn't really set up yet. It was intended to have your vendors in DotLoop. The challenge is I have set it up with several vendors, and if they don't pay to being a DotLoop member, it doesn't do anything with their services. So for me personally, I just stopped messing with it. So that's more of a coming soon feature, which will be neat. So you really don't have to worry about the people icon. And templates. The last part of our class is really going to focus here. Templates is where you're going to go for your blank contracts, where we're going to go to set up our own templates and have contracts pre-filled in for us to save us time. So we'll come back to that in a little bit. And then the last one, which they just changed this, so we're going to see they changed some stuff for us since I last taught this. Notice when I click on my picture here, which yours just might be a circle, it says my name, my account number, and it's asking me to do two things. So add license number. All right, I'll go ahead and add my license number because that needs to be in all our contracts. So SL 328 922. Okay. See what else it asked for. It also asked for Explore Mobile. I already have the mobile app. It's kind of giving me this little green circle on the outline, so it looks like they're changing the way that you interact with the system. So typically you're going to come here and just go to My Account, is the whole goal. So when we're under My Account, this is where you can add a picture. So if yours didn't have a picture like mine did, you just hit remove and add the photo right there if you want your picture on it. Make sure it's got your information. Now if you aren't aware, because of the new TRID changes, all contracts and sales contracts need to have our license number on it. So now when you have your contract at the end, you put your name, I'm with Keller Williams, you have to have your license number there for the new trade requirements.
So
Yes.
if you're doing like a cold post, both the broker's licenses are on there, or two licenses?
Well, how does that work? You talk about, well, there can only be one brokerage. You talk about two different, a deal and
Yeah.
on the same side of the transaction, or?
No, on different sites.
Yeah, on different sides, yeah, they'll have their own number, you'll have your own number. So you're not putting down the broker's license number, you would put down your number under which side of the deal you're on, and then when you look up the agent in the MLS, you would put their name and their license number. It's their responsibility to make sure they put their information on it, but yeah, that's how the contract should look. It should be one side for each.
Okay.
So you just want to make sure anytime your name's on the contract, it just needs your license number next to it.
Okay.
That's it. So I think by putting this here, it should do that for me, because now it's asking me for a license number. I really didn't do much in this setup of it. The only important thing is if you come down to settings, you want to make sure at the bottom to change your password. So we remember we logged in through MyKW. Well, sometimes MyKW has been down. So how do you get in otherwise? Well, that's by going in through DotLoop.com, and when you sign in, you would sign in with your email address on file. So this is where you can go to change the password for that. So if you ever change your password or don't like the one that's using the screen, go under the picture here, My Account, and then Settings. And at the bottom, this is where you'll see Change Password to put in your password. Now, I made it the same as MyKW, so I don't have to remember the passwords. It should be that same password. However, I have found if you log into DotLoop and it doesn't take the password, that's where you go to reset it. The whole goal of it is I should be able to log into DotLoop.com on any computer without having to go through MyKW. So we're just giving you a back end, and on the phone, for the iPhone, there is an app for DotLoop. Now you can access the website with no problem on the Android devices, but the app on the iPhone is going to ask you to log in with your email address and password. So that's another reason why it would be important to make sure you have that information. So that's where you go to get it.
May I make a comment right here? Okay, guys, I've been in this out for a long time. I use, in the website, I have Don R. Sutton at att.net. That's what my DotLoop password, name and password. And then I tried to set up DotLoop.com with the email address I always use is don@donrsutton.com. So I've been having a lot of problems with it. We finally had to go to Gmail, don't know why, but whatever name and password you have that's set up in the system, you need to make sure it's the same email and password that you have set up in DotLoop.com.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Thank you for bringing it up. That's why if you had to change it, you would change it down here. But basically, whatever they have on file, you'll see it under settings right here. See how it's grayed out? This is the email address I must use, and make sure you get email to that. So most of us join and gave a Gmail account, and then we sign up for an email address later. So yeah.
So let me just say, when he's got J. at Keller.com. If that email address is forwarded to another email, and one of his clients sends him something, he can't view it on his whatever other email address you do, because it will say you're not authorized.
Gotcha. So
You have
does
to
it
go
like
in-
the forwarding part?
You have to go into
You have a name.
myKW.com.
Okay, well that's a good point. So basically just make sure you're using one email address, you're not forwarding anything crazy, and then you should have no problems. If you have any problems, under here, I don't know why the help number isn't there anymore. It used to be right under the picture. This is your member ID. So you'll need that to call the tech support, and let's see where tech support put their number now, here at the bottom. So there's tech support numbers all the way at the bottom. It's a 513 number, they're based out in Cincinnati. So you just give them a call, give them your license number if you have any problems. If you log into your DotLoop and it's blue and white, like the main version, it means they don't register that you're a Keller Williams premium member. You just call them and tell them that, hey, I'm with Keller Williams and I need my account to be the Keller Williams premium account, because the free version is going to make you want to pay for all this stuff. We're already paying for it. So as long as the coloring's okay, you should be good.
They're really good.
They are very good.
Yeah.
They're very quick to respond to you. They're very helpful and stuff, so don't be afraid to call them. There's also some help center down below, so if you go to the help center, they have a website that you can pull up with articles and videos as well. And they do have a new Android app. Ah, that's what you were just asking about. So I talked about the iPhone app. They just launched the new Android version. It wasn't here for the last 2 years of teaching this class. So if you have an Android phone, you can now download the app from the Google Play Store for DotLoop as well. And the website works fine on your phones. The difference with the app is it's just quicker to search for things. So I like the app for searching for documents and contracts much better because it searches all folders at once. When I go to the website, I have to click on a specific folder to be able to search in that one folder. So it's when I tend to use the app the most. All right, that's pretty much it when it comes to the setup. So let's start with what the loops are and what this part of the screen is. Now, if you're like me, I'm going to turn on my filters here. I have archived a lot. I've been in this office now for 3 years, and if I uncheck everything, you can imagine how many loops you'll start getting over time. So as you can see, this would be very hard to find anything since any loop I've ever created. So a loop is just a file for one of my transactions. So here's some of the test ones from training. Here's some deals I've actually closed on. It gets very overwhelming sometimes. So when you're first starting out, you've just got one little test in there and it's not a big deal. However, over time, you're going to start with more loops. So one thing to understand is for compliance reasons, we can never delete anything out of this system. So when you start a contract, even if it goes void, that's fine, you just archive it. Because for federal regulations, we need to keep record of everything we've done in the system. Yes?
Where you found the archived files?
Sure. So if you, I'm going to show you real quick. So in this deal here, it was a purchase, and then I had the archive option to mark it as archived. When I'm ready to not see it anymore, I come here to filter and just uncheck the archive so I don't see it anymore. So the goal is you have to mark it first as archive, and then you go to the filter to say don't show me the archive or bring it back. So right now if I try to search, it's only looking at what's active. If I come back to filter and check on archive, then I'll see all
Yes,
those.
but suppose that I want to see some contract that I had 2 years ago.
That's fine. It'll still be in the system. So you'd be able to hit archive. If you'd archived it, you would
Yes.
mark the checkbox to see it because you want to see the filter. So you check the box to see archived, and then you can search for whatever that deal
all
was.
of
So
them.
this one was a couple years ago, and if I come in here, I can have all the details of this deal, and I think this is like a 2013 deal. So I can come in here and see everything I need to. So that's why it's there forever. I just don't always want to see it on our loop screen. And that's where that filtering can come into play to just say, hey, I don't want to see it anymore. Uncheck the archive, filter, and now it's just the deals I'm working on. That's the whole point of it, to make it easy for you to sit there and find stuff. When you're on the app, though, it just shows all of them. So you'll be able to find them very easily if you use the app as well. So that's what the filtering does. This activity log icon really just shows you any activity in the entire system. So right now it's going back to as of 1:11 a.m. That was on July 25th. So it just shows you all your loops at once and all the deals that you're working on. So I don't tend to use that very often, but if you needed to, that's what the activity log does. It's easier if you go inside the loop itself and then see everything related to the loop. And then Sorting, you can sort it by address if you choose to, whatnot. Since we filtered it out, I don't need to sort it in any way. If you had a lot of deals that were active at the same time, you can then sort it by address or whatnot. So how do you create a loop? Let's start with that. So to create a loop, we click the plus sign here for create a loop. And it's going to ask you, what do you want to call this loop? Now, what helps the Market Center is if you start off by naming it with the street address. So I'm going to put in here 1234 Main Street is the best way to do that. Now, it's going to try to fill in some kind of dot loop from the system. You're not going to pull one of these addresses. You're just typing it in. The goal is you want to quickly help the Market Center and quickly find that deal. And Robin and Brielle are searching by the address first. And then afterwards, you can put a dash and put their last name on if I wanted to, so I can put my own last name. If I chose to, you can put their full name. Now, if you're working with a buyer and don't have an address yet, that's fine, just put their name in. To start, you can always rename the loop later. But you need to name it something and just get in the habit of putting the address first, and then the dash next to it. So when I come in here to create this loop, this is how the screen looks. So right now, at the top, 1234 Main Street, dash, I put my last name here. Now notice it's got select transaction type. Well, for our example today, let's do a purchase. I'm gonna buy a home. So I would choose my transaction type is purchase. So your options are purchase, which means you're buying, and you're the buying agent. Listing for sale means that I've got the listing. Listing for lease means that I've got a rental that I'm the listing agent to lease it out. Lease, and then real estate other would be for your referrals, anything like that, because you can do a referral deal and you can mark it that way. So I'm going to mark it as purchase. Now I get the ability to select the loop status. So under purchase, I have pre-offer, which means we're writing the offer now and I'm going to send it over. Under contract means they've accepted it and we're under contract right now, so I just keep in my mind where we're at. And then there's sold and archived. Now if it was one of these other ones, just to show you, the status will be different. Like for listing, it's pre-listing, private listing, like it's not ready to be seen by others yet, active listing, under contract, sold, archived. So the statuses will relate to the type of deal you're doing. Yes?
So on the leases, it's only the people that you've got a lease from. That
Correct. So if you're doing the lease, like all we do on our side is a contracted lease. We don't tend to write the lease, yeah.
But but the people looking for a rental place, you don't put them in there.
It depends. What side are we doing? What side of the deal do you have? Are you working with a renter or do you have the listing?
I have 2 people looking for places too.
Okay, so you would be able to do one here and you mark it as a lease.
All right.
Because that's where you got the lease side of it. And then you'd be able to fill that person in as the renter.
Right.
And then the landlord and stuff. So the system will work that way.
Because they're not going to have an address for me to put in.
That's okay. So you just put their name for now.
Okay.
And then go there because you're going to be writing an offer on one of these once you find one. The contract to lease is the contract, and I'll show you. It's on our document sheet, so you can know what to do for those. So yeah, you would choose lease, put their name for now, and then if you need to change this, so let's say we did it by their name, I would just simply click on the name here, and when you click it a second time, because now we're in the edit details, I can change this name. So if I start off with my last name, Cermak, rental, and then I come in here and I can just change it to say, oh, it's 1234 Main Street, and then my name. So you would start the loop off with their name, and then once you know you're under contract, you can put the address there.
Each time that you change in the process of the purchase or lease or whatever, you have to return on the status and change it?
That's just for you, more or less. It's just for you. You don't have to. If you do this, though, it helps you understand what are all under your contracts, what are your here. I usually use that status more for archive than anything. Because archive is when I want to archive it and not see it anymore because we're done with the deal. So it's here to help you, because if you did this and you had everything ready purchased, I can look at all my pre-offers and filter that out very quickly to look for those items. So that's what the point of it is. You don't have to if you don't want to. However, if you want to ever archive, you have to tell it what type of deal it is and then hit the archive button under here. So that's if you change it. Oops, I even misspelled my last name. Yeah, you can fix it. All right. So that's the loop there. So this is just telling it what kind of status it is. Now, here's that little notifications for this deal. So if I go to notifications, this lets me view all activity for this one deal, and you can see everything I've done. Created the loop, changed the statuses, renamed it, everything I've done on it. It will also show me anything my clients have done. It'll show that they read the document, that they viewed what I sent them, that they signed something. It's your entire history of everything inside this folder is what this notification is going to do here. Now this is for messages, so when I send an email to the client, they have the ability to type back a message and hit reply and say, hey, I can't find this contract, or what is this? This is where that message icon would see. The good news is if they do reply to it, you'll get an email from DotLoop telling you, I've got an email back and forth. So you'll see it there as well. This message icon just keeps a record of all the messages.
I'm sorry, but really I didn't know that you have write down the message, because I'm doing the contract.
Right.
I send immediately to
Yeah.
share with my clients. And then I send a WhatsApp or an email apart
Which you
saying,
can.
please, could you sign? I have sent, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and
But this one, you can do
all it does is inside the email. So and you still want to do that in a separate way to make sure that they got it. So if you send a loop, it says a message, you're just typing inside the email. That's really what it is. It sounds like it's texting back and forth. All you're doing is emailing it back and forth. So it's your ability to write a message. If they hit the reply button on what you sent them on a DotLoop, it marks it as a message back to you. So you would still want to send them a text message, call them and say, hey, just want to let you know I sent you some contacts.
Yes.
You'll get it. And I'm going to show you what the client's going to see too.
Okay.
All right, so when it comes to this here, now we're into the loop. Now it says what kind of documents. So this is my ability to say, great, what are we adding? We're purchasing. We're buying a property today. So my options are add from computer, which is what I would do for a PDF. So if someone sent me a contract to sign or sent me something that was a file, a PDF, I would put it in here from the computer. Since we're going to fill in a contract to buy, I'm going to do it from templates. Email is here. I'll click on it just so you can see. You can have somebody email you files. Here's the challenge. That's how long the email address is. That entire email address. However, if anybody emails that address and the email they send you with the PDF in it automatically puts it into the loop for you. So I know a couple agents who do use that. I personally don't, but if you wanted to say, hey, just send an email to this address and I'll get all the files, you could. I think it's easier for myself to just email me and I'll put the file in for my own system. Now, it does have the people down below. Don't worry about set up your trusted providers. That's what was under the contacts that I said isn't really set up yet. Now, the one thing we can do from here is we used to have to add the person down here, make sure you are already in the system so it knows that's me. Who am I in this transaction? I have to say, who am I going to be signing for and what am I in this deal? So in this case, I'm the buying agent because I'm helping my buyer purchase a home. So you can add the person here if you choose to. What's nice is they made it so much easier now when you go to fill out a contract, they have a simple form ready to go. So now I make it even easier on myself, and I just fill out the form as we're going to put all my people in at that point. So all we would have to do next is just go and add from templates to choose our contracts. So when we come here, you're gonna have a bunch of folders. I'm gonna clean this up here in a couple weeks. You're not gonna use any of these folders. So what used to happen was the Market Center would manually create a folder for you and put the latest contract in there. Well, as you can imagine, contracts change and that gets a little cumbersome. So what we have done is we have signed up and partnered with Florida Association of Realtors. You're gonna come to the Florida Interactive Forms folder, and that's where we put all the contracts, and it's updated by the Florida Association all the time. So if there's a new contract that comes out, the second it comes out, this folder will have the newest version on it. So we no longer have to go trying to chase down, do I have the latest version? So I'm gonna click on that form here. Now the first time you click on it, if you're a new agent and haven't clicked on it before, it's gonna say, please enter your NRDS number. That's your National Realtor number. You get that off of Our World or when you log into your account for the National Association of Realtors, it'll tell you your national ID, it's not your license number. Once you put that in there, you just do it once and you never have to enter it again. The whole purpose of it is to make sure that you are basically telling the Florida Association of Realtors who is accessing these contracts. So all the contracts are under here. Now I'm in this folder and I can easily find, so if we're doing a purchase, we would look for the as-is contract. And here it is, the far bar as-is 4 is our most recent as-is contract. So I'm gonna copy and add that to my deal. Okay, so that's one contract. I'm also gonna add another document from templates, and in this case, I'm going to buy a home with lead-based paint because it was built before 1978. So Florida's Interactive Forms, and we're gonna look CR4 lead. And there it is, CR4-P. Check that box. Copy, and hit OK. So I've added now my contract and my lead-based paint. Now I'm also going to add one more. If you're working with the buyer, because we need to get in the habit of, did they sign a buyer brokerage agreement? So I'm starting to add that now to make sure that they have it signed before I submit any deal. And I want it's an EBBA 5, exclusive buyer brokerage agreement. What this is doing is this is my contract to say, hey, Mr. Buyer, you agree to work with me and I'm going to represent you to the highest level. Now what's nice is notice these aren't in order anymore. So this is my exclusive buyer brokerage agreement. That's just between me and the client saying, hey, you agree to work with me. And then I've got my lead-based paint and then the as-is contract. So to rearrange these, notice my mouse turns into a little cross. So I click on the as-is contract and just bring it up to be above the lead-based paint. Putting them in order this way will help, because if I were to check these two boxes right now, and I hit the download button, it takes two separate PDFs and makes them one. That's what's really neat about this. So if I had 6 different documents that were signed, or they had to do all these different things, you can make all those PDFs into one document, which is easier for me to send an offer to someone.
Can you add a condo addendum?
Yeah, if you want to add the condo addendum for this one, yeah, if I want to add it, it's in there. This way, so I'm just choosing house. If I did that, go to my templates, Florida Interactive Forms, and when I type in the condo, it is CR4-A for the condo association. Whatever you need to do, if you want to have the, if someone gave me the condo seller disclosure form, I can have that added as a PDF. So it's your ability to put any document you want here. And I think of this as an actual digital file for your clients. So it should be stuff that's relevant for them. So when I get an inspection from one of my clients, like a PDF version from my inspector, I put it into the loop for them. When I get that seller disclosure, I put it in the loop. When I get the closing documents, I scan it and make sure it's in this loop. Because what's going to happen is next year they're going to file for their taxes and call you and say, hey, I can't find my closing documents. I can't find my contract. I can't find, hey, what did that inspector said something about the water. Can you find that inspection report for me? And all I have to do is tell them, yes, if you go to your DotLoop, it's all there, and I can also access it because I know where it is anytime. Yes?
The last week, this association that we are going applying asked for authorization of the landlord, and
Okay.
the landlord is abroad. For this reason, I download that page in DotLoop, and
Okay.
he can sign automatically. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's so great, and that's a
Yes.
great point. So this is
Yes.
perfect for that client that's not here locally. We would love to sit in front of our clients and have them ink, wet sign, every document. It's not realistic. You're going to have that person that's overseas, or what they go away on vacation for the week. Do you want them to say, oh, well, we got an offer, but we can't reply to them until next week? This system will let them sign, and you'll see it when I do an example, in as little as 2 minutes. They can have everything signed, ready to go. You have a fully executed contract. So it's the power of having the system to allow anyone to sign anywhere in the world. All right, so
This
I'm
is
going to
where
start
I'm having
with
a problem. So,
yeah.
good, Jay. I do it a little differently, but so I should actually add the condo disclosure from the seller, if I have the buyer, into here, and then download all of them. Okay, got it.
Yeah, you can do it that way, or you're giving them access to this. So once I've sent a document for my clients to sign, they're allowed to register for their own DotLoop account, and they will have access to every file I put in here. So the goal is, a year from now, I want them to say, hey, 24/7, if you freak out at 2 in the morning, you don't have to bother texting me 100 times. If you want to reread your contract, just sign into DotLoop, and you can look at everything I put in there for you, and you can see it. So it's the only extra step we have to go. We have all these files. Usually someone emailed me, hopefully, when it comes to the condo docs, they're not always digital. So that's paper, you still give them paper. But if you have a digital file related to the transaction, pre-approval letters, put it in here. Condo disclosures, whatever it is, that it's digital PDF file, I would put it in here for my clients and for me. So when I have to find that file anywhere in the world, if I'm on vacation, someone says, hey, I can't find my seller disclosure for this condominium, I can just send it right to my phone because I know it's in DotLoop inside my folder. So it's more powerful, I think, than most agents are using it as. So, all right, let's just start with the as is contract because I want to get it to populate with the form that says, let's fill in these contracts. So when I click on the as is contract, this is my favorite new thing they've done last year. It's an autofill form. So before I had to go field by field by field, and you could put in a little bit of information and it populated the contract. Well, now it's much easier. So buyer one, I don't have anyone yet, so I can just simply add a person right from this screen. So I'm gonna add a person, and this time I'm gonna go to my other email. So let me see if that's in here. Cermak at Gmail. And James A. Cermak is my legal name. Make sure when they're signing something, it's their legal name. So I go by J, but if I'm gonna sign when it comes to buying something, I have to go by James Cermak. So make sure whatever you're entering in here, because the contract should always be their legal name. Or if it's an LLC, it needs to be the legal name of anyone involved.
Can I do something? Okay, so what I was saying earlier, j.cermak@gmail.com, he cannot go to Gmail, and if the client has sent him something that's already been signed, he can't go to that email address and pull it directly unless he goes into mykw.kw.com, because this is not the email he has with DotLoop, right?
No, because
Well, I'm being the buyer.
and now
So-
it's the
But I
buyer.
mean, if you as the agent can't, I'm just giving it an example, you have two different email addresses.
Yeah. In this example, I'm being the buyer and we're two separate people. So in this example, this is me as the buyer. So it could be Mickey Mouse at mickeymouse.com. I'm just doing it so I can literally show you what the client sees.
So you're registering as the buyer, so you can have access to
I'm registering as a
the-
buyer. So the buyer, anyone that you put an email address in here, and that's the one thing. If they're gonna digitally sign, I need one email address per signer.
Okay.
So if it's a husband and wife with the same email address, I'm sorry, we need
No,
one extra
you can't
email.
do it, yeah.
Each sign needs its own email address.
Yes.
So, and all I have to do is say, I already chose the role because it was in the template. So I just put buyer was already chosen for me. So all I had to do was put in their name and their email address.
What that means, add to my team.
This is for co-agents. So if I want to add somebody to be on my team to have full access to this loop, has the same permission as I do, you'd only do that for a co-listing agent or someone you're working with on that side of the deal.
And if you do that, where is the team? Where is the other guy?
When
In
you add it to
settings.
the team, that's when it says that you would add the person. So you would only do this if you were co-listing it with another person
Yes.
in your company. I'm not doing this with the other agent.
No.
So when it comes to this system, think of it as only between you and your client. You would only use add my team when it's an admin on your physical team, or
Mhm.
you and John O'Flaherty are doing a listing together and you're co-listing agents. That's the only time to ever use add to my team. Otherwise, you would never use it. Because you're giving everybody the full access with full permission like you have to all of your files. And you don't want to do that for just that one loop.
Suppose we are working in a team.
Yeah.
Suppose that I'm traveling.
Yeah. If
Jose
you-
can access at the.
Exactly.
it's
So if
more
you
easy.
said add to my team and you added Jose to it, he would have the ability to go in and have full rights like you do to be able to say, hey, let me reset that loop, let me download this
Okay.
contract, etc.
That's fine.
That's why you would want to use it. And that's a great example for that. Okay, so add person. So all I needed was their legal name and their email address. And since I told that's who buyer one was, seller one, you can add somebody. So for this example, you don't have to have an email address. So I'll pull up an example from the county tax records. Oh, don't tell me you're down. No, because it's BCPA dot. That's not it.
No, you have.
No, it's not that.
That.
Or change the.
There we go,
there.
BCP. So all I'm trying to do is pull up a property so that we can fill in this real contract. I mean, it's really going to be 15232 Northeast 4th. So if you're doing a deal in Broward County, this is one of the pages, the BCPA Broward County Property Appraisal site would give you all the information on this deal. So in this example, here's my seller's name, Andrew Sebo. So now I would know Andrew Sebo, because that's how it's written in there, is the seller. And I don't have his email address, but I just want to have it so that it fills in the seller's name.
What's the name of that website again?
BCPA, so B as in boy, yeah, Broward County
Broward County.
Property Appraisal.
And for
.net.
Miami's just added another.
Miami has a different one. Typically, you can also do it through the MLS. There's
Oh,
IMAP
yeah.
and other stuff. Those
IMAP,
services
okay.
do all those.
Okay.
I just went directly to the site for wherever you're writing your deal.
Okay.
Yep. So, and the reason I'm pulling this up is because I want to have the tabs side by side so I can copy all the legal information and just paste it. That's the whole point. So that's who that is. I'm already marked as the buying agent. I can put the listing agent if I choose to, or just leave it blank. So here's the street number, so I know that. I'll just type it in, 5232 Northeast 4th Avenue, Oakland Park, Florida, County, Broward. Now this is where I'm going to want to copy, because I found if you try to type these numbers, usually you're going to mess one up. Because the numbers for the tax ID for this property are quite long. So what I have learned is I just highlight all of it, copy it, and I just paste it right there. So that way the contract says the right tax ID, the parcel ID. Then it's asking me, okay, well, what are you purchasing this for? So I'm going to buy this home at $200,000. You do not have to put the dollar signs in; it'll do it for you automatically. And then it asks how much earnest money are you putting down? What kind of deposit? Escrow deposit. So I'll put $5,000 down. When do you want to close? Well, we're going to close 30 days from now, so let's shoot for September 1st. I'm already marked as the buyer agent, and now notice legal description for some reason is all the way at the bottom. So the two most important things about this contract are the ID and the legal description, which is right here. Legal description. So I copy that, paste it at the bottom of my contract, and when I go to autofill now, just to recap before I hit the autofill button, I mark my buyer. I put my seller in here, which I just hand wrote them in. No email address, because they're not going to sign on my end. I'm in here as the buying agent. I put my address so it fills in the contract with my address, how much we're purchasing them for, how much down payment is, when I'm closing, what my name is for the buying agent, which I'm going to add my SL3286922 there, and the legal description. When I hit autofill now, what it does is it's going to fill in all of these fields in the contract for me. See how much easier it made that versus me going line by line to type in the name, type in the information. Do you have a question?
Yes, but you can add the listing agent and the offer
I
goes
could.
directly to the after.
No. I would not send it to another agent in DotLoop. So what happens is on the other agent side, not everyone uses the system. Even in this office, DotLoop's the system we have to use for compliance, and their agents will only use transaction desk, and they'll only use form simplicity. And those agents, if you send them something from DotLoop, are going to go, what the heck is this? How do I use it? It's going to throw them off. So this is between me and my client. When it comes to another agent, I'm going to download this whole PDF and email it to them and let them figure out how they do it. Unless someone says specifically to put them in. So I can put their name in there, but I'm not going to put their email address and email out of DotLoop. I'm going to download the PDF and send them a personal email instead. Because at the end of the day, I don't know how they do their business. I don't know their process of how they fill out contracts, and they may not use the same tools I do. That's the reason. So it just filled in a lot of the contract. If you take the boot camp class, they'll tell you how to fill out contracts. I just wanted to show you how quickly we filled out a majority of this for me. Now I can come through the whole contract. I'll go to the bottom just to see that it's got my name, all that information on here, and I can fill in what I need. And I know we just for our example, condo and lead-based paint. Yes, do you have a question?
Yeah. Now, you were saying that you would download this to send to the other agent.
Correct.
So.
I'll show you how to do that in a second. First, I'm going to show you want to save. So you'll notice it says save and share it here. Here's the thing.
Right.
If I hit save and share right now, it sends them this one document to sign, and then I have to send them the addendum. So then it will send them another email to sign, and another email to sign, and no client wants to get 60 emails from you to sign the same thing. So I would hit save when it's more than one document, and then email all of those at once and download all those files at once. And that's what I'll show you. It's on the other screen. But when you're in here, the only thing you're going to do from this side is really save, and I'd only share if it was like changing one initial. So that's all I'm going to do in here. There's no real controls in this system right now. All I have is the ability to download this document or print it from this view. I can also do it from the main, so I'll hit the back button to go back to here. So we filled in this contract. Now I can come to my lead-based paint disclosure. When I come in here, the autofill message is already filled in. So it gave me another opportunity for autofill, and it filled in all my contract for me. And if you haven't filled one of these out yet, I have to sign something. So as an agent right now, I can just hit sign now. It's going to say, hey, how do you want to sign? This will be the same for the client. So how do you want to sign? You can type in your name here, and it will give you a signature, or you can draw one if you're on your phone or tablet. I can come here to draw and say, you know what, I want it to be blah, blah, blah. If that's the signature I wanted, or I can switch by clicking type signature and just type it in. It's going to pre-do one for you. I hit adopt and sign, and what's nice is whenever you sign anything, you do not have to put a date next to it, because it'll stamp it right here with the time and the date, and it's going to stamp it in DotLoop system and tell me what address I signed up on, when I signed it, and for legal compliance reasons. So again, I'm only going to hit save because I don't want to share this one document. And the last one I have to sign and share is the condominium one. Even though this isn't a condo, I just wanted to show that I had another addendum. I hit autofill here so that it fills in the information for me and I can fill what I need to. And again, hit save. So now I've got all three of these ready to go for me to do something with. So in this example, I'm going to check the box for all three. And when I hit the share button here, it shares one email with all the documents from the site in order, which makes it easy. For what you're asking, if I wanted to say, if these were all signed already, I would hit the download button and hit download, and then I could just open this as a PDF. You know, save it to the computer, open it, and then just email the client. And this PDF is now all the documents in one form. That's what's really cool. I use that feature a lot. Take a bunch of documents together, make it one PDF to email them when they say, can you give me the fully executed contract? Well, it's sometimes 6 different documents. This would make it one. So for our example, we're going to go ahead and hit the share button because I'm ready to share this now with me to sign. So when I hit share, it already knows that James A. Cermak is the buyer, and I am marked with can sign. So I will get the email and I can sign it. Now you have a couple options here. I can view only, so if I wanted to send it to somebody else to just view it, I can hit view only and they'll get an email that says click here to view. They can't fill anything in. Can fill and sign, you don't really want to use this a lot because it would mean somebody can erase the contract and write their own stuff in. I use can fill and sign for rental applications because I let them fill out a PDF and then they can type it in and they can sign that. Otherwise, you would never use it.
Now, from what I understand, if you do that and they do make changes on the contract, it eliminates all previous signatures, correct? So then you have to go and send everybody the contract all over again.
And when it comes to that, what you want to do is once everything is signed, you download it as a PDF, and then you can put it in, once it's a PDF, then you can sign one field. Because anytime you go in right now to modify this, it erases all signatures. So I need a PDF with everything signed, and then I can add a signature if I need to. So this is where you'd enter your custom message. So this is your messaging we were talking about. So if I put one in, please sign this contract. All it does is put it inside the email. But that's how they're going to email back and forth. I don't attach PDF to email anymore because it doesn't track it. So right now, if I send this email, it'll tell me when they opened it, if they clicked on the link to view the documents. If I said attach PDF to the email, I have no clue if they downloaded the PDF, if they opened it. So I don't check it anymore, I used to. And I'm going to hit share. And done. So now it's telling me waiting on others because it has shared it. So I'm going to come into my Gmail account because I made sure I had it ready. Sign in so we can now see it from the buyer's email. Really? I'm typing too fast.
By the way, as you get older, it gets worse.
The challenge is we all have our computers save the password. There it goes. So this is what I get. The client will see this, action needed in big bold letters, and then this is the email that the client gets from you. So it says James, because I wrote in the please sign this contract is what I wrote, and it says I put them in DotLoop for you, view documents. So all they have to do is click view documents. So I'm viewing the documents. It's going to come up here. Now this works on the phone as well. Notice it says click here to start signing, and it's blinking at me. So when your client calls and says, I don't know where to sign, please look for the blinking, start signing, and it does blink on your phone too. So now I'll click start signing. Great, look, sign, here's the first initial to sign. Click there, and this is what I had before, but now it's in blue and white because that's the client view. So I can draw the signature or make sure it's correct, and just hit adopt and sign.
Okay. Now, your signature wouldn't be there, of course.
He's
Yeah,
acting
the
like a
He's the
buyer.
This is the
He's
buyer's
the buyer
signature.
Right,
now.
but how would you get the buyers, well, the first time you send it, I guess it's gonna ask them for the signature.
They're creating their signature.
That's when they put the signature in.
That's what they're
and then-
creating right now. That's what I just created. I know it's
Right.
my same name, it's confusing, but
Right.
that was the buyer's signature. All I did is they type it in and it gives them one that they can use or they can draw their own. So now I just click to the next spot. Great, next one. Great, next, see how easy it's going? It's counting down in the upper left-hand corner. 4 out of 19, 5 out of 19, 6. So it's just taking me to the next steps. You can see how you can quickly sign a contract in less than 2 minutes if they didn't want to stop and review it all. Sign here. Great. Now we're on to the lead-based paint. Initial here. Initial. 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 Notice my signature's there for the listing agent. Sign here for the
I
buyer.
have a question. What if some people, they don't sign or initial everything? Do they get like an alert saying it's not completed?
Yes.
Or
It'll stop them. So mine says you're almost done. You still have to click finish. If I had missed one and tried to hit it, it'll say,
Yeah.
hey, you're missing a spot.
Got it.
And it won't let them. So yeah, that's why it stops it. Now what I would recommend is hit all the little signs, and then if they want to spend some time, read it before you hit submit. Because otherwise they're going to try to read first, and then they're going to go back, and it's going to take them out of order.
Do they have an option of unsigning if they wanted to?
Just don't
Take out
submit it.
this-
Yeah.
You just wouldn't submit it by not signing something. Yeah, if I just closed out of it right now, I didn't sign.
No. Let's say I signed it, and then I didn't agree to what I read, and I wanted to unsign it.
The only thing to do that is to not sign the whole contract. You can only delete the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. However, they can always go back to you and say, hey, I know I signed that, but I don't want that, and you can rearrange it and rewrite it for them, or whatever you have to do. Typically, that doesn't happen very often. If it did, it's not going to be a fully executed contract anyways, because you have to agree to the terms of the contract. So take the contracts class. Richard and Paul Krasker will explain more of the contract side of it, if that ever happens. But yeah, in this case, if I just closed out it right now, I didn't hit finish, I didn't sign it, I'm not done. So it didn't send the agent a signed copy yet. So I hadn't finished the sign. It's gonna say great, it's gonna give me a little pop-up. Now what I will warn you is it's gonna pop up and say you're done, and they're gonna go, okay, I'm all done. Well, don't tell them to be done yet. It's got their email address here and their name, and it's gonna say choose a password. You want them to sign up for a DotLoop account. This is what will let them sign in 24/7 to access their loops and all their files. If they skip over this, they're gonna have to recreate their signature every time because they haven't signed into it, they haven't created an account. So if I hand wrote my signature and hit sign up, every time I sign into my account, it knows my signature. If I don't do this step of it, then I have to recreate that signature every time. And I won't be able to log in to see all my files. I'll have to click the link each time and keep that email. So you want them to sign up for an account. It's free. All I have to do is enter in one password. Create their own password, doesn't matter what it is, it's their choice, and hit the sign up button. And then they will be able to see the loop. Just like we see our view in the red and black, theirs will look just like ours in the blue and white and just show them the information that we have shared with them.
Jimmy, do me a favor. Please put your password in and sign up.
Alright, I'm signed up. Great. This is what it looks like for me. I have 9 free loops remaining, and this is what the system looks like from the buyer's perspective. So I have, this is me, here's the contracts I have, so if I needed access to these or click on one of them, as the buyer right now, because that's who I'm in, notice it's all blue and white, and I can see that I signed this contract and everything that I did with it. I can download it, just like we did on our end. It's very similar. We're giving the clients access to access their files. They can see who the seller's name are, any tasks that are here. If they want to download all these files, they just click here and hit the download button. It's their ability to have access to all those files. And it explains to them what it is.
Yeah.
So it's a powerful system. Yeah.
Could you, this is where I have some issues. Now we download this, we send it to the other agent, the listing agent, the seller does not agree with the purchase price. They wanna, modify the contract.
Okay.
And then, this is where we're talking about all the signatures have to be redone and
No, they don't.
so, all right.
So what we would do is if I had everything signed, remember it's all been signed by my client right now.
Okay.
So what I recommend you do, is so that you don't lose all your signatures, is download as a PDF.
Okay.
Because if you download as a PDF, we'll download this, and I'm going to save it as. Why don't you save it as when? I'm going to file, save as, desktop, and we'll call it test today. This is why I'm showing this to you, because this is what happens all the time that agents aren't doing correctly. So 8/1/2016. So now this PDF has all the signatures in there. I can't modify this, it's just a PDF. What's nice is it will verify, it has a verification page for DotLoop. So DotLoop right now will tell me, here's all the people who signed on this deal, here's all their signatures, and it tells me when they signed it, what their IP address is from the computer or phone that they were on, how it knows it's them by they email verified, and they accepted when they did their signature to agree to an e-sign. That's what holds up in court. So when someone goes to court for it, that's what they're going to do. So now I have a PDF. So if I was in DotLoop right now and try to modify any of these deals, right now it's going to erase the signatures. So if I wanted to say, hey, you know, let's change our price, and I hit the backspace key on this, it's going to give me a warning that if I proceed, so if I want to change this price now to say $220, this isn't the place to do it. It says creating a new document, and it warns you right now it's going to erase all the signatures. So you don't ever want to do it that way.
So
Correct.
just doing a new one?
No, so what I'm going to do is archive these because I'm done with them, so that I don't see them anymore, so I don't get confused. So the 3 lines, the 3 dots here give me the option to archive, rename, delete, things like that. And then I'm going to add that PDF. So it's on our desktop, and we called it .loop with today's date.
All the way at the bottom.
8 dash.
Maybe Great, now that I added a PDF, when I come in here, all my signatures stay intact, and now I have the ability to do more tools. Now I have the ability to add a signature. So let's say we're changing the price. I will add a strike through, cross out the price, and I'll add text now to say, you know what, they want us to bring our highest and best, so we're now offering $225. And I can put the dollar sign in this too. Well, anytime you make a change to a contract, you have to initial next to it. So now I'll add initials to the right here, and I'm going to assign that to the buyer. Now, if I share this, it didn't erase all the signatures, and all they're agreeing to is change one thing, or one, you know, changing the price, changing the date, whatever it is we need to agree to.
You should add the date too, right?
I don't need to, because when they actually sign it, it'll stamp it with the date.
Yeah.
So in this situation, yeah, if I go to save and share right now, which I will, I'll save and share this to my client and say, you know, price was changed to $225. And I'll hit share. So now my buyer gets an email. Should be another one coming. Action needed again. View document, and it's going to say, hey, you have one thing to sign right here. And when I sign it, adopt and sign, see it adds the date and the timestamp right there. That's why we don't have to add a date next to any of our initials. It always stamps it and times it properly. So any signature field or any text box field, you never have to add a date field. It automatically does that for you.
So now you don't have to do an addendum.
Correct. No, I don't have to do an addendum. When it comes to the
Because
price,
I
there
know
is
in the
no.
other class they were saying, just do an addendum, don't touch the contract, you know?
I've seen it both ways. If that's how they're teaching you, did you take the contract class with Richard and Paul Krasker?
I forgot.
Those are the people that I do. If you took it from someone else, I don't know how they do
I
it.
think it was
This is
the,
how Richard and Paul Krasker taught me to do
It was
some
the
of
title
stuff.
company.
Right. So some title companies are that way. Well, sometimes the banks don't like that.
Yeah.
The bank might come back to you if it was like an REO deal or something like that. There are banks that are particular. I don't want to see a crossed out price. Please resubmit the contract to me with no crosses. So it depends. In this situation, that would be fine for what I was doing. So now, as the agent, if I come out of here, now I'll have this version. Come back out, go back into my loop. And now when I come into here, that will be signed. And now I can download this copy and send it over to the agent. Now remember, this is one file with all the pages together. This is what you do for your fully executed contract. So what I would do is hit download, file, and download. And I would call it whatever my deal number is, or my address. I usually do offer and name, and then I would send this to the agent. Here's our offer. We've raised it to $225 per your request, you know, or whatever we did to it, and get them to sign it back for you. Any questions on that part? I know it seems a lot. It seems fast with it. It's very easy, and you all get used to it over time. Just know if you're signing with your client, this is where you go with your signatures. The second something has to change that's already been signed, always download it and put it as a PDF. That's the big thing to remember, because otherwise you will erase it. It does warn you, but I've had many agents who accidentally erase their entire deal. I went, oh crap, now it's too late. I can't fix it. So that's what you want to watch.
Thank you, because archiving that when you get a counter offer, I got you.
Yeah, that makes it easier. So if I want to see those archives, I hit show archive right here and bring them back. But I found, otherwise I get confused by which is the most recent, which is the executed contract, and then I'm just like, hey, just click the 3 lines.
Can you repeat that? So if you want to change something, you should save
Always
it
download it as a PDF.
as a PDF file.
Yep, and then put it into DotLoop so that you can now add to it. Because what's nice is you notice when it's a PDF now, I have more controls I didn't have before. Now that it's a PDF, I have the ability to add a signature, add a text box, add dates, names, all kinds of cool things. So you're working on a rental, this would be something you'd be able to use to put a rental application in this system. And you could make any PDF have the ability to have someone type in their name, type in their email address, that kind of stuff, if they want to fill it out digitally instead of printing out. Because some of those rental applications at condominiums are 30, 40 pages. And my clients are like, I don't have a printer anymore because I do everything electronically. So I could have them in here as a PDF. I could spend the time. It would take me a couple of, it would take quite a while to add every field, but I could, in essence, come in here and say, add a text box to please fill out your name. We're not gonna do it for that one, but that's what's cool about this is the ability to do a PDF. It gives you more controls. Throw the mouse. That's the way to do it. All right. So I'm not gonna worry about that one being signed. So does that make sense from the loop standpoint, how to put stuff in, how to fill out the contract? When you take the contract class, they'll explain what to fill in those fields. What I'm explaining to you is how. How to put a little box here, how to add that one little signature, anything that you want to add. Once you're all done, one thing to understand is when you take the class with Robin, that's the second handout I gave you today, was just letting you know if it's your listing right now, they're doing a new tag. You're getting an email with SLBP tagging. That's just for Brielle up at the front desk. It means she looked at it for compliance reasons, and your listing is compliant. That's all it means. One thing to understand, if you're doing a listing, you have 3 days from everyone signing the paperwork to have it totally submitted into your loop. So anytime anyone signs the paperwork, has everything ready, it should be in here right away. Now when it comes to the listing side of it, typically they're probably going to physically handwrite on a listing agreement. You don't always use the e-signature for that. I use it once we go on under contract. So that's the little handout I gave you. The second sheet here was just telling you that you have 3 days there for compliance reasons. When it comes to your actual deal, the only other thing I would need in here to be complete once it's all executed is the tax record. A PDF of the tax record needs to be in there, and a PDF of the MLS sheet. That's the compliance sheet of what Robin needs from you. Is she needs those documents plus your actual executed contract. Yes?
Suppose that I'm doing something very tough and I need that Richard see my contract, or if it's okay, what I'm writing down. He can, I have to download and send to him, or he can access at my DotLoop and see if this contract is okay.
For who to see it? Who do you want to see it?
Richard, I need to consult something.
If you need them to, Richard should already have access to this. I know Keller Williams does. If you went to Robin, that's who these people are. Admins at Keller Williams. Richard should have access to the full. He should already be able to see it. So you should have.
I have to send an email explain that please could you see this contract?
Yeah, you can send it to him and just say, Richard, will you take a look at what
you could just add his name.
Yes.
You can add his name.
Yes, and send first to him.
Yeah, And I would add him as
he'll
on the
just
team.
conditional it and answer you back.
Yes, okay.
Yep. All right, so that's kind of the stuff here. Once it's all done, then I can do the submit for review. That's when you get into how to send the file for compliance that you're all done.
Okay.
So the last part I want to cover, I know we're running over real quick, is just how to create, we showed you where the folder interactive forms are. One thing to understand under templates is the ability to create your own folders. So the folder interactive forms gets updated by the board, but it's a blank contract and I can't do anything with it yet. Well, what tends to be the same? My name's the same every time. My company's the same every time. My escrow deposit, if we hold it here in the office, is going to be the same every time. I might have some standards that I can fill in beforehand and just make it easier for myself. So the folder I gave you, the document I gave you here, was what folders you want to create. So in the template side, this is your ability to take a copy of those contracts and start pre-filling them in for you, or pre-fill them in for a buyer you have, maybe an investor who buys more than one property. You can create a permanent template for them with their name and information pre-filled in. So I recommend you create a buyer's folder, one for leases and one for sellers. To create a new folder, it's just right here, new folder, like what you do for a new contract, and you can call it whatever you want. These are your folders to create. So for the buyer's folder on our sheet here, I put in the exclusive buyer brokerage agreement. And this is one, if you click on this now, I can pre-fill this in. My broker's the same every time. Keller Williams Realty Professionals, that's my broker. I don't know all this information yet, so I can't fill in everything. I got in the habit of thinking about my clients, so it's residential real estate, and I just got in the habit of putting single family condo. I wrote in new construction because I've lost some deals on clients who did not put me down as their agent and went to new construction without me. So I make it a point to highlight that out. It's not, you don't have to. You will learn along the way of what stands, what doesn't. So you'll learn how to fill out those contracts, but that, if it's a standard every time, I can have that pre-filled in here under this template. The whole point of this is if I go to create a loop right now, and I take this out of the buyer's folder instead of the flow interactive forms, it's got my pre-filled information in there for me. It just saves you time. So if I wanted to, because I have these folders ready, I could probably execute and write a full contract and have it to my client in 5 minutes or less. Because I know where to go now, I know how to use the system. So for the buyer's folder, you'll need that contract. You want the bar as is contract. Now, I don't want to put all the addendums because it ends up being like 20 addendums total for the contract. Think of the most common ones. So I tend to do a bar as is contract, and typically we have a lot of homes here that are lead-based paint disclosure, pre-1978 construction. Homeowners associations come up a lot, and condominiums. So I added those, and they're of typical ones that I would have, and if I need to add any more, I can. Now this one, this is a KW form, you don't need that one. That's the paper they have for your escrow deposit over there. This is one that you might want, I put it on the form. I uploaded this from Keller Williams, just disclosing things. So this discloses that we're affiliated with, in this case it needs updated, but Trident and Van Dyke Mortgage, or what escrow is, what surveys and inspections are. So when it comes to buyers and tenants, I have them sign this, and it's more to cover my butt and to make sure that I explain to them what escrow is, what inspections are needed, things like that. That's really the point of that form. You won't find it in here, so if you want a copy of it, I can email it to you as a PDF, and then you can put it in there for your clients.
Pretty sure it says agreement, right? It's a pre-lending.
Yeah, we gotta update it. I'll have to get an updated one. I don't know where that one even came from. Leases. So for the leases, you're gonna have a bunch of ones in here, and what I would recommend, there won't be anything under lease except for this. The FAR CO-4 is the contract to lease. So if we don't do leases, but we're writing an offer, if you're working with the renters right now, this is the contract you're going to fill out to say, hey, we want to enter into an agreement to fill out a lease. So this is the contract to lease form. I don't know that I really pre-fill in any of this information, but I have it ready to go. I filled in that I'm going to hold, it's not a real deposit. When it comes to rentals, we can't hold the entire 3 months rent and all that stuff. All we're allowed to hold on to here in the office is your money. So if it's a half month's rent, then we can hold a half month's rent here in the office, and then that's what you can check.
That's for
So, for rentals.
yeah, because I'm actually.
When it comes to the rental, because you know, typically the way the rental works is when you go to submit an offer, you're gonna have some money ready.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'll have half month's rent saying I've got the deposit and I'll hold it here in the office.
So that's the application that the tenant, prospective tenant will fill out, right?
This is the part, this is the contract to lease is what we fill in to say we're agreeing to the terms of $1,400 a month. We're agreeing to all this stuff. And that's the actual, think of it as the purchase agreement, that's your rental agreement on that end.
Right, okay.
We also need them to fill out a rental application.
Okay,
That's separate. So I have that. You won't have a copy of this, but I can email it to you. I put my email on the list. Just email me to say I want these forms, and I can get you a copy of this. Now look, it's just a PDF.
okay.
So if I want to have them fill this in electronically, I'm going to have to come out here and say add a text box there, add text again, and I can have, you know, you can add as many as you want and save it. But as you can see, the first time I do this, it might take me some time. However, won't it save you time later on and just have your client say, hey, let me email this to you, and this is the only time I'd ever say can fill and sign. Because it's not a real executable contract, it's just an application. And I want them to type in their information, and I want them to be able to sign that application because it does say, please sign here.
Excuse me, but in this case, you have to teach them how to fill out.
No, I just send them an email when they open the document, it'll be a text box. Please just, I'm gonna email you this document from here, and all you can do is type in your information. I used it for my client for our condo application just recently, because he doesn't have a printer. So I put the documents in the PDF in the system, and I added a text box to every field he had to fill in, and I hit the share button. And when he got the email, remember it says click here to sign? It was all typable. He was able to type in everything he needed to. That'll be the difference. So it makes it easier for them. It just takes me a little bit longer. It probably took me about 15 minutes to type, like to put all those boxes there that I needed to. And then when I hit the send an email to fill and sign, my client was able to type in his name, address, license number, and all that information, and then sign the application for them. And then when he did that, I had a PDF of it all signed.
Jay, as a tenant's agent, you have this in a real application?
I do it to be on the safe side to have it ready to go because most of the time they want something, they're gonna have to fill out a second one. If it's a condo application, but typically when you go to submit an application, don't they wanna know more about the person that's submitting it? I just got
No, I mean, I do that as a tenant listing agent, not as a, you know what I mean? I have the tenant fill out an application.
To me, this saves me time because if my renter is willing to fill this out, I know they're serious. I've wasted a lot of time with renters who weren't serious and wasted my time and then went behind my back and bought something else.
I have heard that.
So what I have done is I've also created this sheet, which I can give you a copy of, and I created my own rental guidelines to explain the rental process down here. Because we're not taught on it. There's no class on it. There's no contract class on it. We really aren't taught on any of this stuff. So I found out that, hey, I'm gonna have you fill out a rental application because to me right now, I don't have a buyer's agreement, so this is my way to see, are you serious and ready? If they're willing to fill out an application, they're gonna have to do it anyways, get it up front. That's why I do it that way. Now, I can't charge them $50 for an application fee, and I wrote it here to be prepared for it. However, if they don't need a credit report on the other side, and the condo association is going to, they might not ask for one, and they can get a free credit report from freecreditreport.com. Their credit card's giving one now, and I'm going to tell them, look, one thing that they want to know is what's your credit score. If you can give me a copy of the credit score, I'm not going to charge you $50. Otherwise, I can't charge and do the background check if I need to.
Yes,
so I put it in there for them.
You know, the landlord wants to know who is going to live in the unit.
And that's the reason I do the application stuff beforehand, because if you're looking
signing.
between a whole stack of rental offers, are you going to take the one that's complete and has all the information you need, or are you going to go, oh, well, this person says they can't afford it, I don't know who they are, I don't know where they live, I don't know their rental history, I don't know anything about them. It saves me time that I tend to have a smoother transaction. So I just wrote it out this way to make it easier. I'll get you a copy of it if you want the whole printout. And I made this one generic so that it doesn't say anything about me in it. So you can actually use this exact form. So then it will say we're going to find a property and write an offer. We're going to sign the contract to lease. This is explained to them. We're going to sign a contract, but we're not signing, it's not the lease. It's separate. When you're going to submit an offer, I will need a cashier's check or money order, because personal check takes too long, made out to Keller Williams Realty for the amount of first month's rent. That's mine and the other agent's money. I now just say half month's rent. It's whatever I get paid. I don't worry about the other agent, because they can write a check to that person when the time comes. The only money we're protecting right now is ours. when it comes to that. Once approved the owner, you will need to sign an actual lease, typically for 1 year. So I'm explaining to them that you're signing the contract lease, now you sign the lease. If there's a condo or HOA, you will need to send an application separately, and it also needs to be money order, you're gonna pay for that. Then they have to give the approval. If it's a condo or HOA, it can take between 8 to 10 days, and the law right now gives condominiums up to 30 days to have to reply to you. So if you wanna move quick, you wanna make sure that you try to have a relationship with that condominium, but I can't force them to go faster than 30 days if they don't want to. So I'm telling them that so they understand it from a law standpoint, that they do have legally 30 days. Once you get the approval, you're clear to move in on the approval date. On the day of move-in, we're gonna do a walkthrough to make sure everything looks good in the unit, identify any damages that are there. At that time, you're gonna give the other 2 months deposit. Typically down here, it's first, last, and security, which is basically about 3 months of rent, is the standard across the board. Some places might do less, some might just say, just give me a deposit. I've seen people who said instead of last month, I want 2 months deposit because of your credit. I mean, but you just get in the, if they don't have 3 months of rent ready to go, they're not gonna be able to get much down here anyways. So that would also save me time from wasting my time with the renter if they're not serious. And they don't know that because they're coming from another state that had different rules and they don't know what the process is. Remember, everything we're dealing with on our set of rentals isn't an apartment complex, we're dealing with owners of some sort. And this is the way that they do it.
Thank you.
So on the day of move-in, that's when they're gonna give the rest of the money.
Could you, on number 9, could you add the word move in on the approved lease start date?
Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the association will approve it on one day, but if the lease says
Yeah.
a week later.
It should be upon the, upon approved date, yeah, I can understand that. Okay, so, and then the goal of the move-in date is, look, all we're telling you, money up front, I need half month's money from you today, that I'm gonna put in an account, we're gonna hold it for you, and that secures that. When you're ready to move in, that's when the rest of the money is due all at once. It's the easiest way to explain it to them. And then at that point, keys are given to you, and the unit is officially yours, and this would be a great time to share your experience with friends and family. We look for referrals. And then I did a cost summary, just so they understand. There may be a $50 application fee. There might be a separate application fee for the condominium HOA fees. That could be anywhere from $50 to $100 per person, and I'm explaining that to them. Per person or a married couple. I saw one condominium, they had a $600 application fee. Not kidding. I'm like, I couldn't get, my renter couldn't want to pay that, so they didn't, I'm like, that's paying to rent out. So that's why I'm telling you it could vary. First month's rent is due at the time of offer. I'm going to change this to say half the first month's rent. And then last and security deposit due on the day of move-in. And then the first month's rent is the listing agent. So they would write a check to that company. Any pet or condo fees are separate, and then our service is free to you. So it was never designed this way. I wrote the guide to make it easier. Now, could you understand sending that to someone who says they want to rent from you, and you just save yourself how many hours showing them stuff when I have no money to put down. Okay, we have an issue. I have a 200 credit score. We have an issue. You're addressing all these things up front. Oh, I filled out my rental application. I'm missing all this stuff. You're saving yourself time. So just make sure, send me an email and I'll send you a copy of that. If you're doing the listing side of it for the lease, this is what you use, the exclusive right to lease agreement. Meaning I'm going to list this unit for rent in the MLS. Yes.
Great for work.
I used to work in Farm Simplicity, and I have an addendum, a blank addendum. I couldn't find here in the list.
There isn't one.
There isn't.
No. So you write inside the contract below. Are you on the listing side or the buyer side?
Both.
For both. So what
For
I learned
example,
was.
let me explain to you. When the associations take more than 30 days, because there are some that take more, I am doing an addendum that the tenant is paying 3 months in advance, but the second one that he was living there, we are going to prorate the first month.
Yeah, they got rid of all the addendums that are blank, so reach out to Richard to find out what's the proper one to use. But as far as I've gone in there, I can't find one. They used to have it on the old contracts. There was an extra page that says addendum X or whatever is blank, and fill in your own stuff, and then they got rid of it with the most recent copy. So
Okay.
it's been gone for a year.
Okay.
All right, and then the last one, and the last one is just under sellers. Sellers is much easier. It's only one document for the listing agreement. It's one thing to sign. So in this case, would be the exclusive right listing, take the contract, classify out which one's correct for you. Richard recommends the 16TN, which means I'm a single agent with the right to become a transaction broker if I bring both sides of the deal. That's what that one is. If you need to modify the listing agreement to say, hey, we're already assigned the listing agreement, now we're changing the price 6 months from now, that's what this one is, the FAR modification. And then these two are just printouts. So if it's a condo, I would print this document out and give it to my seller to fill it out about his condominium. And if it's a house, you give them the seller's disclosure about their property. Those you never fill out, you just give them a blank copy and they have to handwrite it for those two. So those are the things I would create my folders for and just put the stuff in there. Work on the folder that you're working with the most right now. So if you've got a renter, start with your lease folder. If you're working with a buyer, create your buyer folder. It'll grow over time. All right, thank you guys. I know we ran over, so have a good one. Perfect.
Thank you.
Send you everything there. All right, great.
Yay, great rental.
Thank
form.
you.
It
I
saves me a
usually
lot of
write that in
time.
a letter, but this is much simpler.
Because no one was explaining it, I got tired of not having a system try to explain it to my renters, and they're unrealistic. I'm like running around, and I kept losing these renters who would waste my time, and then all of a sudden, oh, I just signed in a condominium over there, and I didn't make a dime, even though I showed them 10 different properties. So now, to weed out the weak ones, I set this up front, said, hey, everyone fills out an application, show me you're ready, do you have money? Yeah. It's not in there. The only one that's in there is the contract lease. Everything else I can email. If you have a card or your email address on here.
Thank you,
That works.
Jay. Thank you.
That way I'll send you your copies.
Nice days.
Yeah.
You send me that form, thank you.
That way you
very
guys will
much.
have the form, and if you want to use it and stuff, I just think it makes it easier because no one teaches us that works. I had to learn that over time.
Well, I mean, I even said to Bill, you know, I've got a couple of guys that want to lease. You know, what do I do? He said, oh, just show them property. I'm like, okay, all right. But I need to get something in writing before I start wasting
That's
my
one
time.
trick, because technically, if you look at the exclusive buyer brokerage agreement, it does have a lease section on there. But if you were working with, if I was a renter, would you sign a contract to work with somebody? No. Buyer makes sense.
Yeah.
Renter, they won't. So that's how I got around that by making them fill out some stuff and said, hey, when you show me the rental application, I'm willing to take your properties. If you're not willing to fill that out, I'm not willing to waste my time.
Now, well,
Yeah.
when you email this is going to my,
It'll be a PDF for you to put in there. So you'll take that PDF I give you, you'll put it into your folders, and you can fill it.
because the, I don't think they have my email address. They only have my, website.
Gotcha.
So, that makes a difference, so,
No, that's fine. So this would, if I email this doesn't go to you?
yeah, that's my,
Yeah, 'cause that's what you
website
gave me.
info.
That's fine. Yeah, so that's what we're sending over. If you want to confirm in DotLoop, go into my account under here, and settings, and it will tell you which email address is on file.
Probably would be the Gmail.
Yeah. And if you wanted to change it, this is where you change it. Settings. There, settings. Probably go on the actual computer.
I know, I was just looking for.
No.
Oh, you know what? I have to put this one.
The website.